In this video, I've got a recording of a call that I had with a guy called Mo. Now, Mo is a WP Eagle subscriber. He's been on the channel for a little while, and he recently reached out to me via email and said that he's got quite an interesting story when it comes to websites, because basically he picked up a website for a couple of $1,000 and he was able to flip it in around 12 months up to around $24,000. So yeah, that certainly sparked my interest. So during the call, he basically shares that story with me, including all the things that he did to the site. Basically, he picked up the site in a Facebook group, and he was very new to the whole internet marketing business. And he picked up the site and he thought he'd got a pretty good deal. But actually, as soon as he got the site like in his hands and started working on it, he realized that it was actually in decline. So he started panicking a little bit because he'd obviously spent a few thousand on it, and frantically started getting to work on the site, doing all sorts of things, including cleaning up the SEO, adding new content, giving it a full kind of health check, basically loads of stuff. And he shares all of that in this call. So I think you're going to enjoy this call. As I already mentioned, it ends pretty well in the end with Mo ultimately selling the site for a very nice profit. And yeah, I think that's enough of me chatting. Just one quick thing before we get started. If you're not already subscribed, you can do so by clicking on that button below. Make sure you click the bell to be notified when I upload new videos. I do try and upload every single week. And if you enjoy this video, if it helps you out in any way, please click the like button below, because that really helps me out. But anyway, roll the tape. So I'm joined by Mo. Mo got in touch with me via email a couple of weeks ago and basically said that he'd purchased a website. I think it's for about $2,400, something like that. And after a few months' work on it, he then went on to sell it for around $24,000. So pretty impressive flip. So I thought I'd get Mo on and we'd just have a chat, and he could basically explain, the full story, what happened, what he did, so that you guys can maybe pick up a few tips on how to flip a website. So Mo, welcome to the channel.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Good to have you. So yeah, start from the beginning. How did this happen? How did you come across the site? And basically, start from the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I was kind of interested in the industry for a little while before I've done a lot of research to figure out what it is that I want to flip, as in terms of which niche. So it was kind of to and from in, like, which niche should I go into, because niche selection is pretty difficult, especially at the beginning. So I went into the pet niche because it was very evergreen. There was a lot of different affiliate kind of products and programs to promote in there. Plus I knew a little bit about pets as well, so it kind of made sense. Because for me, I was trying to keep the costs pretty low. So I was doing a lot of it myself. So those factors were in play. I thought, okay, let's go into this particular niche. So that's why I kind of chose the pet niche. The reason why I kind of picked up that particular website is because I found it for a really good deal on a Facebook group chat, or like a group, like a messenger type thing. And once I spoke to the owner, done my due diligence, and it came across like a really good buy. So that's kind of why I picked it up. It was my first one as well. So
okay, I've got a couple of questions on that. So I mean, the pet niche, my initial thought on that is, that's competitive. I've had a few sites in the pet niche in the past, dog sites, that kind of thing. Did you experience that, or was it not as competitive as maybe I'm led to believe?
So obviously the main keywords, kind of dog, cat type, best is for that. It is pretty competitive.
Best dog lead and all that, yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty competitive. But this particular site, it was ranking for a lot of commercial keywords anyhow. So I kind of got a head start because it had a track record. So I could just kind of go back and say, okay, well, if it's ranking for this particular keyword, then that's one that I don't have to kind of produce myself. Plus, I can probably do some on-site or optimize it in some shape or form to bring it up the SERPs a little bit. So there were like maybe about 10 pages that were on page 2. So 10 articles. And they kind of needed a little bit of work, but I could push those up to page 1. So that kind of helped my decision in that respect.
So I just want to press you on that a little bit, get a bit more detail. So what kind of things did you spot that could be improved? Because it might be a good tip for people that are looking to buy a site to flip. Was it obvious that they could be improved? What did you spot?
Definitely. So initially there was a few CRO stuff that could be improved. So for example, conversion rate optimization on the actual website itself. It didn't really have good call to action buttons, and the colors were a bit off as well. So for me, that was kind of a instant light bulb. Yeah, because I'm like, well, if I can do that, then maybe the conversions will go up by 10 to 15%. Also, some of the pages weren't very well written, so I thought, well, I can obviously rewrite those to help the buyer out. For example, the introduction part didn't really speak to the pet owner. When you go onto a website and you read a page, you want the intro to kind of just make it seem as if at the very least you have the pet, or you understand what they're going through. So in that way, once they kind of go down to the buying buttons, they're going to click and they're going to go through to Amazon or wherever. So those are the kind of two main things that I saw. Also, obviously, as I mentioned in the SERPs, there were a few pages that were on like page 2, positions 10 now.
So what did you do to those pages to push them onto page 1?
Yeah, so initially, my initial kind of reasoning was on-site. Just so I went into those pages. I fixed up a lot of small on-site issues. So, for example, some of the titles weren't correct. Some of them had 2 headline ones. So just kind of smoothing those over. Also, using some on-site tactics, there was word counts that needed to be increased. So I've just put an extra like 400 to 600 words, because that looking at other pages in the SERPs that were positions 1 to 3 or 1 to 5, they had, let's say, for example, 2,000 words, and this particular page had like 1,000. So it only made sense to stick some more content in there, because that's clearly what Google wants, because they're on, I guess, the first page. So yeah, just playing and kind of toying with on-site, it made a big difference for those pages that were on kind of page.
Yeah, for sure. So just going back to the Facebook group, is that a group that you can share with us, or is it a secret group?
No secrets. It was when I first joined the group. I think it's called Flipping Websites, and it was by a guy called Richard Patty. I think he sold it to Andreas, I believe, from I think Investors Club. He kind of owns now. He kind of bought the group, and then yeah, I guess anyone's kind of entitled to it. You just need to apply.
Okay, so maybe you'll send me a link to that, and I can stick that below this video if anyone wants to try and join that group and see if they can find some good deals. So, just about the details of the site. So you paid $2,400, was it?
It was
$2,700, and how many pages of content did the site have at that point?
I had about 60 or 70. The funny thing about when I bought it was, obviously, it was my first buy, and I was doing all my due diligence, but I didn't spot that. So let's go back a bit. The site was making about $200 a month, right?
Okay.
And he was selling it for around 3.5, 4, which was still quite good, because at a 30x at $200 or like 175, it should be around 5k to 6k mark. So when I picked it up and done some negotiation, I got them down to like 2.7, 2.8. But what I didn't realize was the site was in a really steep decline. So I'd done my due diligence and seen it kind of going down, but as we had gone through a scroll, it's continued to go down quite heavily. So I was like, okay, the guy obviously clearly knew that there was an issue with it. He sold it for me for the price that it was. By the time I picked it up and kind of added my links into it, it was only making like $50, $75. So it wasn't an okay deal, but it wasn't, at no point did I actually get any, it wasn't a bargain, no way.
No.
It was priced correctly.
Yeah. So is that why the guy was selling it, because it had gone into decline?
Essentially, yeah. So at the time that I picked it up, there was about 6 or 7 pages that were like the top pages. Of those pages, maybe 1 or 2 was receiving about 30 to 35% of all the traffic. And one of those pages just kind of dropped out of the SERPs. So I was left with this website that didn't have its main page that I guess I invested in. Obviously, the pages as they were, it started to go down. So yeah, so I lost revenue basically.
Are you able to pinpoint what had caused the decline?
No. Even to this day, I still didn't actually figure out why that particular page went down. Yeah, I wasn't actually sure. It didn't really go back up either. Not to that point. It kind of stabilized, but it never picked back up again. Okay,
so let's talk about what you actually did with the site. So, how long did you have the site for before you sold it? Was it
just under a year?
Oh, just under a year, so about 12 months. Okay, and during that time, what did you do to the site, and what effect did that have on its earnings and on its traffic?
Yeah, so I kind of, the way that I figured it out was kind of like 4 phases. Months 1 to 3 was the let's fix it, because clearly something was broken. So I fixed up. I disavowed some links. Well, a lot of links actually. Some of them weren't very pet oriented. Some of them were a little bit spammy. So I kind of took those out. I also did a complete site audit on Ahrefs, and just, I guess, gave the site a cleanup. There was pages that were linking to the wrong pages. There were some that were redirecting into the wrong pages as well. So that all needs to be cleaned. I also did a content audit as well, which was really important because it showed me which content was receiving traffic and which wasn't. So what I'd then done was anything that wasn't receiving traffic that was just, I guess, on the website, I just kind of cut them because I wanted to keep it nice and clean and mean.
Yeah.
If it hadn't, it's been on the website for like 6 months. If it didn't get like 10 to 20 views, then clearly there must be an issue with that particular page. Maybe it's not optimized correctly. So I just kind of cut it off. So I just gave it a nice clean fill, optimized the theme, optimized some plugins, put in WP Rocket, just cleaned it essentially. That was like the first few months. It took a long while as well because that was all kind of.
And your main tool for that was Ahrefs, was it, to identify those inbound links and to do a kind of site health check? Yeah,
definitely. Ahrefs is expensive, but it's one of the best in the business by a clean mile. It's got a ton of tools in there.
So after you cleaned everything up and disavowed all the dodgy links that were coming in, what was your next plan? What was the next step?
Yeah, so after that, for me it was okay. The site's clean. So how can I optimize everything else? So let's look at some CRO, which is like conversion rate optimization for those pages that are receiving traffic. Let's do on-site. On-site was really important because I could do on-site for the pages that were already like maybe we're in page 1, but they weren't like positions 1, 2, 3. So how can I get those up? And then obviously the ones that are in page 2, how can I get those up as well? So for me, it was if I could get the top 10 pages to increase by 10 to 15%, then essentially the entire traffic on the website will increase as well. Yeah. So it just kind of made sense to start there. So I used Surfer SEO and just, like I said, I kind of just invested about 4 weeks just in Surfer. I figured out how to use it. What I did was instead of just putting everything through Surfer, I picked a few pages that I was happy just in case it kind of went down as well, because obviously I'm still new to it. Once I realized how to do it correctly, then I added the rest of the pages of the website into it. CRO, on-site SEO, and also very importantly, I picked up an internal link tool. So internal linking is very important as obviously Google can see what's relevant and what's not, and boost up those that are relevant. So I tried to kind of interlink it myself, but I was adding pages myself, and there were more pages that needed internal links, and it was just kind of really messy. So I picked up a plugin. And it just made the whole process really streamlined.
So was that Link Whisper?
It was indeed, yeah, Link Whisper.
Okay.
It's probably one of the best plugins that I picked up because from after picking it up and after doing all of the internal linking, I could see the movement in SERPs almost instantly. It was really good.
Okay, Link Whisper is something that I have had a look at before. I didn't get on with it too well. Maybe I need to revisit it and spend some time with it because I do hear some good things about it. Okay, so great. So we're probably 4 or 5 months now into having the site, and you mentioned you've added some new pages. What kind of new content did you add, and what kind of volume?
Yeah, so at that point there, I realized how to kind of use and utilize content silos. So a lot of the information that I was putting on were info posts, and I figured out essentially whatever Google was ranking, let me add more pages of the similar. So for example, let's say it's some dog pages. And it's about, you mentioned leads. If it's to do with collars and leads, how can I add some info posts around a commercial post to give Google that full kind of a full look of, okay, this particular site is specifically about this, and there's info posts and there's commercial posts, and that's the kind of that particular content silo. So I kind of just figured out what it is that Google likes and just done more content in that particular area.
Okay, then linking them all together, so you got this silo, as you say, a really specific area in the pet niche that you are becoming kind of a bit of an authority on because you've got a good range of content within that very specific area. Yeah. Okay, so that sounds good. So did you write this content yourself, or did you take on some writers?
My plan at the beginning of this entire business was to keep everything as low as possible. So I think barring maybe about 10 or 20 posts at the very end, I wrote all the content myself. So
okay, and how was that process?
It was tricky at first, especially when the website's not making much money and you're sitting there with a few $100 and you're writing 30 posts in a month. It's tricky because I mean, I like pets. I don't love them. Do you know what I mean? So I've
I
got,
was going to say, is
get-
pets something you're particularly passionate about, or did you kind of have to really just do your own research, grit your teeth, and kind of just get on with it?
just put my head down and just write about
Get
pets.
it,
Yeah,
get it done. Okay, so obviously some more time passes. How much content did you get the site up to? I think you said it came with 60 or 70. How many did it ultimately end up with?
It sold at just under 200 posts. So I guess within a year, maybe about 110, 120 maybe posts, which maybe about 10 to 15 posts a month, which doesn't sound a lot. But what I did is I did my content very strategically at the beginning. So, and then I just allowed it to kind of age within Google.
Yeah. I mean, I had a chat the other day with Ron, by the way. The videos was uploaded yesterday. He does content-specific sites as well. And he was also talking very similar to what you are, kind of saying that, he likes to set up quite a broad site, maybe on pets or sports, but then he starts by being very specific. So if he's doing a sports site, he'll just do a complete section all around, football, for example, just focusing on football. And then once that starts going, he'll then start thinking about moving on to something else. Whereas my approach has always been, have a very specific site. So I would never dream of having a pet site. I would probably just have a goldfish site or whatever, something quite specific. But I can see that both techniques work really well, but your bigger sites are actually kind of a collection of smaller sites, or silos as you call them.
Essentially,
so, that approach seems to work really well. Okay, so I guess we're nearly at the time when you're about to sell the site. Was that
just before that? Sorry to interrupt. So months kind of 6 to 9. So after the content had started to age, it was clean, it was mean, it was optimized. This is when for me it was like, okay, now I need to start link building, because I'd done some basic link building before that, but it was very much just find a few emails that were on someone's website, send them a message that wasn't really personalized, and just ask them, can I do a guest post? And as you can imagine, the results were kind of like I thought. It wasn't fantastic.
Yeah.
So at this point, I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to link build, because the site will improve with more links, however you want to look at it. I wasn't a fan of PBNs. There's nothing wrong with them. I just wasn't prepared. It was kind of risky for me.
Well, they are black hats, so that's the only thing that's wrong with them.
Well, doing more research. If you know what you're doing, I guess you can do it. But I didn't know what I was doing, and that was one shot too far from what I was prepared to take as a kind of just in this business venture. So those were a no-no. So for me, the only kind of smart thing to do was I couldn't pay for someone to do them, because the budget was obviously extremely low, trying to keep everything like lean. So I just did it myself. I figured it out, went onto different people's kind of YouTube accounts, checked out loads of people's articles, signed up to a membership, and just figured out how to do like white hat outreach for authority link building.
So, I mean, that process is something that a lot of people just don't want to do, or they're a bit worried, or they don't know how to approach it. So how many emails did you have to send out in order to get any kind of success with that?
The success rate is pretty low, to be fair. You're looking at probably over 1,000 emails to get. To be fair, you do get a lot of replies, but most people are just replying just to say, okay, yeah, I'm not interested. So those that are actually interested, maybe like 1 to 5%, if you're lucky, of actual interested people. And then from those, you've actually got to say, okay, kind of negotiate, what guest post do you want? How do you want it to be written? Then once you actually write the guest post, they kind of take a little while to get it into their books, because they've got their own calendars. It was very tricky, to say the least. So for me, it was just bulk. I had to just send out as many emails as possible, keep it as tailored as possible, so that I wasn't sending out to people that wasn't in the pet niche. And then do my numbers and do my maths, and I work out, okay, if I want 10 links this month, then I've got to send out maybe 20,000 emails or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah, wow, that sounds like a lot of work. So did that pay off, that effort? How many guest posts, how many inbound links did you manage to achieve?
Good question. So I can give you the exact stats, but for me, what was more telling was the increase in DR or whatever you want to call it.
Domain rank, yeah.
That increased significantly over the 3 months that I actually put a lot of, almost daily effort into it. It went up by about 20 to 25, which is quite high. It was moving really fast. Almost weekly, it was kind of going up by digit by digit. So I was probably in about the 12 to 15 mark of actual guest posts coming in for about 6 to 8 weeks, and then it kind of went down to about 8 guest posts a week, and then maybe about 4, and maybe a bit less. So there was like a really big influx in links over that period, and then it kind of stabilized to about 2 to 6 as the guest posts kind of slowed down the whole process.
Wow, that sounds really good. So was there any, particularly impressive links that you managed to bag? Any really high domain rank sites linking to you?
Definitely. After initially when I first started, there was more no's than yeses, obviously. But as I started to just get the ball rolling, what was happening is people were seeing that, checking the website, seeing what links were coming in, and saying, "Oh wow, you've got a link from this particular pet site that's got a 65 plus, or this pet website. I don't see anyone get that link. How did you get that link?" sort of thing. But importantly, what kind of happened was the person or the company that bought the website, they were so impressed with the link building themselves that they had an outreach manager who was in contact with me because I contacted them to ask them if they wanted to do some guest posting and vice versa. And she kind of said to me, are there any links that you're looking to get? And when she looked through the website, she realized I'd had at least half of the links that she was kind of managing herself. And she realized, well, your link building efforts have clearly paid off, because people aren't just giving out links to these particular websites, and you've got them on the website. And from that point onwards, she put me in touch with someone that was kind of doing acquisitions, and that's kind of had a website.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll talk about the sale in one second. Let's just finish on link building. So I guess that you kind of get this kind of momentum with your link building. Once you've built up a couple, then when you're outreaching to people, you can say, "Look, I recently wrote a post for this website, for that website," and it allows them to see that you are credible and that the kind of quality of the content that you're sharing with these sites. So again, did you write those guest posts as well, or did you?
Yeah, no, so had to keep it lean and mean. I spent 3 days a week for 3 months just writing guest posts. Again, I'm not an expert in with pets and animals, but I had to kind of make myself out to be one. I realized the structure of what a lot of guest posts kind of webmasters were looking for, and just kept it really open, really friendly, very bullet points, and this title, this title, this title. And yeah, after a while, people were just you get comments back from people to show you whether the work's good or not, and yeah, they wasn't really impressed with, I guess, the expertise and the layout, and it just looked really professional, essentially.
I mean, I think that's the key, isn't it, to outreach and guest posts? If you can provide something of very high quality, then it's very hard for these websites to resist. Why wouldn't they want a high quality piece of content for their website for free?
Exactly.
Because if you want to get your own high quality content, you have to spend some good money for it. Okay, so now you've got this site, you've built up all these guest posts, you've added some content, you've cleaned it up. It's soaring up the search results page. What kind of money is it bringing in just before the sale?
So on average for the last 6 months before the sale, it was about $8.59, around in and around that range. So it kind of
$900, is it?
Yeah, sorry, $900.
Yeah, from Amazon mainly, is it?
So within it wasn't mainly from Amazon, but what I did was I kind of diversified. After I think Amazon slashed their rates in half, maybe in April or May of this year.
It was around the time the pandemic kicked off, wasn't it? That was
it wasn't a very good time for us, really. So just off the back of that, I thought I need to ensure that monetization stays kind of as high as possible. So yeah, I just diversified. I went into Google. I searched for affiliate program for pets, found a really good one, and then changed out almost all of my links to kind of test it, and then let it run. It tested it done quite well, and then I just kind of split test between which pages worked better on Amazon and which pages worked better on this separate affiliate program, and then just left the winners essentially.
Okay, so that's interesting. Were you able to draw any conclusions from that? Because I've often wondered, if you promote the other companies that aren't Amazon, what kind of conversion rate they have compared to Amazon, because we know Amazon has a very high conversion rate, and you also have the benefit that people buy lots of things when they go to Amazon. So were you able to draw any conclusions of the benefits of promoting other companies?
Essentially, conversion rates with anything else but Amazon are very low. So whereas conversion rates with Amazon might be 10% plus, with other companies you're looking at maybe 1%, 2%. It's not fantastic. However, the way that for me it kind of worked is that I was getting paid on a CPL basis, which means essentially every time someone pays for a small product or a big product, they would pay me a set fee. So whether they spent $100 or $10, I got like a $20 kind of commission,
like a kind of just a customer referral fee.
Yeah, referral fee. It's essentially that. So because it wasn't commission based, so because it wasn't based on percentage based, there we are. It made more sense in the long run, because if one person bought on, for example, the second affiliate program, I might make more than than Amazon did in that whole day for someone that spent like, I don't know, $200-300. So
that makes sense.
The thing is, here's the truth. I think you just have to have a good mix of kind of diversion in your affiliate programs, because at any point anything can kind of change. And Amazon kind of showed me that, because it was doing extremely well with Amazon, like very, very well. But when they cut it in half, I was like, wow, this is insane.
Yeah, they could take it away from you at any moment, and that's it. Got no control. So let's get to the sale. So just talk us through how did that happen? Were you looking to sell the site, or did someone approach you? Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, so my plan initially was to sell after Christmas this year. So 18 months in, after 12 months is kind of a nice secure kind of level to go off. But I think for me, because Christmas was coming up, I wanted to kind of take advantage of that seasonal kind of influx of money. Usually every website kind of goes up in and around that kind of period. So for me, it was like, let's leave, maybe give it another 6 months. Revenue should go up, and then maybe sell it in Jan or Feb of next year. So that was kind of my plan initially. But when this buyer came, when he approached me and he offered the price he did, it was very reasonable. The website was just kind of was steadying as well. It wasn't really going up or down in terms of conversions and traffic. So I thought about it, and I thought, you know what, for me to get the price that I did, and it was, I guess, like an exit that allowed me to be risk-free for the next 6 months to a year, it made sense.
Okay, so how did the buyer find you then? Was that in the group again, or?
No, so I said it was from outreach. Someone
it
had
was
seen.
When you asked them for a guest post, and then they said, actually, do you want to sell your site?
He literally said, yeah. They said, well, I can see that the links there are pretty amazing. That I might have someone that's interested based on how the site is. She just put me in contact. Yeah.
Wow. So the price was it 27,000?
It sold for 24.
24,000. Okay, so that's still a very impressive return. And I mean, you've sent me what the domain name was, and I've had a look, and it appears that they literally were buying those links that you gained from outreach, because all that content that you wrote, all that hard work that you've put in, has gone because they've basically taken Mo's domain and they've redirected it to an existing site they already had. Is that right?
Essentially. That's exactly what's happened. Yeah, they've got a pet site. It's got a good authority. They've taken the one that I picked up and built, and they've just said, "Oh, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll just take all that goodness and just redirect it to this new pet site." So,
it was really the outreach that sold the site, wasn't it? It was the outreach.
Essentially, yeah, it was the outreach that sold the site. So, I mean, I'm not going to be too disheartened. I would have liked to have seen someone grow it and build it and maybe sell it for like early six figures, something like that. But it's up to them. It's their business now.
It's there that you did. So, in terms of the transaction and everything, did you just do? I think you just did that yourself, didn't you? With escrow, you didn't use a broker or anything, so you didn't have to pay your 10-15% to anyone else.
Nah. It was just all done with escrow. Once escrow is involved, it's all very kind of clear and just legible, so everyone can see what's happening.
Yeah. So basically, when you're both happy, you both just click a button and then escrow release the money. Is that how it works?
Essentially, yeah. Once escrow got funded, the web was transferred pretty seamlessly, to be honest. It just took a little while for escrow to be funded because they asked for a lot of verification from both, I guess, me as the seller and the buyer as well.
Just want to make sure everyone's happy, I guess, don't they?
Yeah,
everyone's done what they said they were going to do. Well, that's a fantastic story. And just to finish off, so what are you working on now? I know you've got a new project on that you wanted to talk about. Yeah, where are you going to go from here? You've got a bit of money in your pocket. What are you working on?
Yeah, well, so based off, I guess, the success of this website, I also started a website from scratch pretty much at the same time, and that's done really well over the last 12 months, literally from nothing to where it is now. So off the success of those two projects, I'm starting up my own kind of operator service. So from what it will essentially do is it will give anyone, whether they're kind of new or they've got like a portfolio of websites, just the opportunity to kind of offset that a website or a business and have someone like me that's experienced in operating sites to just run it for them essentially, and give them that kind of peace of mind to just allow them to focus on what's more important and still have their business running successfully for them.
That sounds really interesting. So we'll put details of that service in the description of this video. You can send me all that and we can make sure people can find that if they're interested. So I guess it's a full service agency. So are you providing content? Are you doing outreach? Are you basically doing everything, or?
So everything's included. Essentially what I run for my own website. So it's going to be all the optimizations. from like site specific themes, plugins, etc. All the audits that I'm going to do to ensure that the site's clean and friendly. It does include content, but not the actual price of content itself. So, for example, I'll show you how to do some keyword research. I'll show you where to go to pick up the content, but the actual cost of content needs to come out from a different growth budget.
Yeah,
just because everyone's kind of content needs are going to be a lot different. Some people might not need any.
that makes sense. But you can recommend writers, and you can help people get their content written. Yeah.
Essentially, and also with backlinks as well. So backlinks and content, you need a kind of separate budget for that. It can be small, but it needs to be included in a different budget, just because everyone's needs are a little bit different. So for me, it's more of a management and an operator of the website, to ensure it keeps in a kind of like an upward trajectory. And then need to have a small kind of growth budget for links and content as well. But I will help you with that.
Okay, sounds really interesting. And certainly a service that I think a lot of people could use, because I think a lot of people like to just kind of have a site and kind of forget about it a little bit and let someone else deal with it and just take the money every month.
Essentially, yeah, exactly that.
Good. Okay, so you'll find all the details of that in the description of this video. I'm thinking of using Mo or maybe a couple of my sites just to see how that goes. So obviously, if I do that, I'll keep all you guys up to date. But was there anything else you want to finish with, or?
I think for me, this journey was a really interesting one. I came into it not knowing anything about SEO at all, and just kind of put my head down and just kind of done the work. I think as a newbie or beginner coming into this, it can be very overwhelming. There's so much information, especially at the beginning. And the best thing to do is just kind of put your head down, find one project and just stick to it. And I think for me, this kind of journey has been testament to that, because there was times where I just thought this is terrible, especially when I bought the website. It's all going declining. I've just spent money on it. I don't know what I'm doing. I was like, this is terrible. But just kind of going with it, watching YouTube videos like yours, for example, reading blogs and just understanding how the actual industry works. It's a long-winded industry. You've got to do a lot of small things, but it does work.
Yeah.
There are people that are doing this full time, obviously.
That's a good message. Keep your cool when the graphs start going down. Don't panic. I mean, it's very easy to, but unfortunately graphs do go up and down. That's just the nature of them. And be patient. Something I always say, that you put a lot of effort in and maybe it doesn't look like the needle's moving at all, but if you just are patient, you keep working on it, keep doing what you know is right, because if you follow some people on YouTube or read blogs, just keep doing it, and eventually that effort, that time will pay off.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Well, great. Well, thanks for joining me, and that's been really useful, really interesting, and good luck with your next project.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks, Alex.
No worries. See you soon.
Take care.
So that brings the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed that. Really interesting and inspirational story, I think. I'd love to know what you thought in the comments. Do leave me a comment below. I do read all the comments that I get, and I will try to reply to as many as I possibly can. If you're not yet subscribed, you can do so by clicking on my face. Why not check out the vlog channel? Click on my other face, and here are a couple more videos. They've been chosen specially for you. Until next time, bye for now.